PR Connections Radio presents. This episode of Thinking into Results is brought to you by Classy Communications PR and Advertising. Classy Communications provides public relations and marketing solutions for businesses, professionals, and nonprofit organizations. They can deliver the true meaning of your business with press releases, social media marketing, web development, email marketing, book publishing, and much more. Wherever your potential clients are, they can help you connect with them. Visit classycommunications.net to learn more about their suite of services that can help your business stand out from the rest. Classy Communications is your solution for business success.
I guess you can be very successful without one, and probably some people do. But I would not have accomplished anywhere near what I have accomplished without a mentor. I have had a number of mentors, and my whole life has changed dramatically. I went from going nowhere to having a business that operates all over the world. If you want to win in a big way, you want to get a mentor. It's almost like getting a direct pipeline from their mind to your mind, where you're gaining all their wisdom, all their experience, and all the studying that they've done over a number of years. And like that, you get it all in a short period of time. Are mentors important? Well, I'm going to tell you, mentors literally changed the course of my life. Let's take a look at what Thinking into Results is and what it could do for you, how it came about. You see, my life had changed dramatically. I went from earning nothing to earning over $1 million a year. And I was sitting one day and I was thinking, how did all this happen? Do you know, I was reading Think and Grow Rich. I was studying Earl Nightingale's material. But a lot of people have read those books and studied Earl's material. And they weren't accomplishing what I was accomplishing. So I had to ask myself, what am I doing so different? You see, I had been raised to believe if you're going to earn a lot of money, you've got to be really smart. I was earning over $1 million a year, and I didn't think I was that bright. I was also raised to believe if you don't go to school, you can't win. Well, I hadn't gone to school. I went to high school for about 2 months. I didn't have a good job. I owned the entire company. If you want to be happy, healthy, and prosperous, it's all here. Thinking into Results is going to show you how to get it. If what I've said really triggered something in your mind and you're thinking maybe, contact the certified PGI consultant, hit the button, leave the information, do yourself a favor, sit down and talk to them about what this program can do for you. This very well could be the decision that will change the rest of your life.
Thank you, Bob. And welcome to Thinking into Results, presented by S&J Mentoring, where we show you how to accomplish your dreams. As you can see, it's just John today, not John and Sid. Sid has had a couple of obligations that he had today, so it's just me. So, and I'd just like to welcome you to step 8, persistence. Giving up is not an option. You know, I went through and I made a whole bunch of notes, and I have a whole bunch of things here I was going to talk about, demonstrate a whole bunch of wisdom to everybody. And you know what? I kind of got thinking about what persistence does. And there's a lot of good things here. It's persistence is a shield against the inevitable obstacles, because when you set a goal and you go after them, you're going to have all kinds of obstacles you're going to run into, because honestly, you can't improve yourself without conflict of some sort. You need to learn. It transforms desire into reality. When you're persistent and you're constantly chasing and going after and headed for that dream and redirecting as you're supposed to redirect, keeping your eye on the dream and headed that direction, it brings that desire and makes it stronger and stronger, because you're getting closer and closer to that goal, and your things are going to be, wow, I'm going to actually accomplish this. And I'm just kind of reading the bullet points because I think it's kind of fun to just, I've gone through all of this. It's like persistence induces the subconscious mind to work for you. See, I come up with all of these big sayings, but it does. Being persistent, because we've talked about conflict with the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. The conscious mind kind of being up here where you think about things and you have your desires, you have your imagination, you set your goals, you write them down. It's all done with the conscious mind. Behavior is done with the subconscious mind. And sometimes our behavior conflicts what we want. And that's because we already have set behaviors. And our subconscious mind just kind of operates on autopilot. And so you're trying to get that pilot to change course and go the direction you want it to can be conflicting because you got to change that course of direction. So being persistent about that's one of the things that helps you accomplish these things, get your mind in the right direction, get it going where it needs to go. And so that's the third bullet point I had. The fourth bullet point I had is persistence test. Success favors those who endure. A lot of people go, well, like when a band becomes popular, man, they're an overnight success. I guarantee they weren't. Most bands become popular 10 years after they're a band. Or a movie star becomes a movie star several years after they start. But they're just persistent. They get the lousy parts. The bands open up in bars and play for drunks a lot. Or they start playing, for a stadium full of drunks. But, it's persistence that keeps them going. I remember a story one time, I don't know how many people were into heavy metal, but I watched a documentary on Metallica, and they were like, I think it took them 12 years to get their first success. And they said that they were so poor that they would eat what they called hand sandwiches, where they would literally take a piece of bologna and some mustard, put the bologna in their hand, put the mustard on the bologna, wrap it up like a sandwich, and eat it, and that's what they had for the day. So it's not like these people came on the scene immediately, but a lot of times that's the way we perceive it. And we've talked about perception in the past. We've talked about, I could show you my phone and say, well, this phone doesn't have a glass face. On my side, it doesn't. So it's all about the way you see things. And sometimes we just, we have the wrong perception of something. And persistence helps clear that up. And let's see here. What's the fifth one? We just talked about habits. Persistence cultivates the habits of success. And what I was going to talk about there, basically, this is just a quick overview of everything because I want to get into something a little more in depth about persistence. But once you're successful at something, once you obtain one of those C goals that Sid is really fond of mentioning, and honestly, they're the best goals out there because they're the hard ones to obtain. You have to really learn something to obtain these. And once you started obtaining goals like that, now you develop this habit of being successful. So once you're successful, it becomes easier to be successful again and again and again, because you've learned that persistence is really one of the biggest keys to the whole thing. Doing everything that's needed to be done, even if you don't want to do it. Because one of the biggest things that they talk about with with um, people who are successful and people who aren't, is they just don't want to do it. The difference is successful people will do it because they know that they have to. They're more about delayed satisfaction instead of immediate satisfaction. And let's face it, there's a lot of things that are happening in today's society that satisfy that immediate satisfaction. We can literally drive downtown, drive up to a restaurant, order it, and have it in less than 5 minutes. And that is it necessarily the right thing for our society? I don't know, but instant gratification is something we become used to. And so that's a habit that we have to break to move forward. So those are my bullet points for today that I was going to talk about, but I decided I'd rather talk about something that's a little more personal. We we get on this show and we talk to everybody and we tell you, hey, these are good things that are going to happen, and this is what's happened, and at the end it's going to be happy. Well, that's true. At the end it's going to be happy. But a lot of times what you don't hear from a lot of podcasts, from a lot of shows like the one I do, is how much the very people that are teaching you this had to struggle to get to where they were and where they are. And I'm going to be 60 this year. And I don't know if I've told you, I think I have, but how difficult it's been to get to having calm and peace in my life and getting towards my goals and seeing my goals starting to accomplish. How hard it's been for me. I mean, it's been very, very difficult. And it started it was a little over 3 years ago. I'd spent just over 2 months in the hospital. And they'd actually had to induce a coma because that's how sick I was. And when you're in that situation, it's very deflating and it's very defeating, because when you're going through that alone and you don't know what the outcome is, you don't have really any kind of support, it is a very difficult, psychologically hard place to be as a human being. And you don't see anything in the future. It's wow. It's one of those things that nobody else is going to understand because it's so traumatic that, and most people haven't experienced something like what I went through. I was in the hospital for 2 months. They put me in a coma. I don't even know how long it was. I think it was 4 or 5 days. I think that's what my daughter told me. And she only knows because they were talking to her on the phone, because she was several thousand miles away. And then when you come out of that coma and they tell you, oh, by the way, we're considering removing your legs, your lower extremities from the knee down, because we can't feel the heart rate. Your legs are cold. Your legs are the color of my shirt. Okay. These are things that I was going through. It was very difficult. And when I finally got out of the hospital, I was on 9 liters of oxygen. And they told me I would never come off of that. I had to use a walker. I could barely walk 20 or 30 feet without being exhausted or accomplishing anything. And I was told that I would be doing that forever. Well, now it's a little over 3 years later, and I am no longer, I've got off the oxygen. I don't use a walker. I still use a cane, but not as often as I used to. I still have my lower extremities. It's a good thing. But they're healing. But here's the thing. When I got out, and this was March 18th, 2022, it's a day I'll never forget. That's when I got out of the hospital. I went home. I'm kind of sitting there I got this big blue tank that's pumping oxygen into my body so that I can survive. I have to use a walker so that I can just get around and, go to the bathroom or fix a meal, watch television. It was really, really hard to deal with. But I had also had taken this course, Thinking into Results. So I started studying it again, and started applying it to me, not studying it to learn it for the material and regurgitate it like school. I decided that I needed to reflect on myself. And I said, okay, what's the first goal I need to set? Okay, I don't want to be on the oxygen. So I started doing the affirmations. I'm not going to be on oxygen. I'm going to be able to breathe on my own and move forward. Because if you're in the medical field, 9 liters of oxygen is a lot of oxygen. And I mean a lot of oxygen. So I started finding ways of increasing my oxygen saturation, which is what oxygen does. It causes your body to absorb it in all your cells so that they can mend and do what they're supposed to. So I found ways of doing that. I found breathing exercises. I found other exercise. I found mental exercises, music that would help. Taking the time every day to get quiet and think about my life and where I'm going. Writing the affirmations down as to what I wanted, how I wanted my health to look, and how I wanted my life to look. And I came up with these affirmations. I say them every day, and I start doing them. I get off the oxygen in about 3 months. A couple months later, I'm walking with just a cane. I'm not walking very far, and it's almost impossible to get up steps, but I'm still walking. Fast forward to 3 years later to now, I don't need the oxygen at all. My oxygen saturation is doing great because I still do those exercises because I'm consistent and persistent about it. All of this came about because I was persistent. I continued to want to know and want to get better and to make my health better. And I was also leaving myself open for the universe to say, okay, here it is. And I learned, because I was persistent about it, to recognize, oh, what's this idea? So I did this. I started learning more about how to eat properly, how to understand your body a little better. All of this came about because I kept being persistent about it, kept pursuing it, kept moving forward. And yeah, there were times I just was like, this isn't worth it. I remember when I was trying to get off the oxygen, that was so difficult. I'd run out of breath in 10 or 15 seconds. It didn't take very long because my whole body was compromised. I didn't realize how much damage was done inside because I had what's called hypoxia. I don't know if anybody knows what that is, but it's retention of carbon in your lungs. You're not releasing it. So it builds up in your body. It's literally poisoning yourself to death. And I started finding exercises, like I said, breathing exercises that actually expelled the carbon. And I started feeling better. Started getting a little more endurance back and a little more endurance back. And as I went on, within 6 months, the time I got out, because I was so persistent on getting better, I was able to drive across country from literally one coast to the other by myself. And I had earned enough money driving Uber to do this. Even though I was that sick, I was still able to push myself because I knew I needed to do it. I knew this is what I needed to do to make my life and my health better. And it's amazing just how being persistent with this is, and being persistent about pursuing what you want. And I decided not to let anybody discourage me because I made these decisions. Nobody else gets to make these decisions for yourself. You have to make these decisions for yourself. I can't make them for you. I can help you accomplish it and I can show you how to do it. But you're the one that has to make these choices, just like I did. I had to come to the realization that I was at fault for whatever situation I was in. Even if the situation initially wasn't caused by me, staying in that situation is my choice. Does it make sense? It should. Because we are where we're at because of the choices we make. We have to change these habits. And the only way it's going to happen, the only way you're going to accomplish what you want, that's what I want for you, is for you to accomplish what you want, because it's so great when you can do that. When you go through all these trials, when you have all of this learning that you have to do and grow from, because you're here right now, and what you're wanting is up here. Well, you have to grow to get there. And I say a lot, I'm no longer stopping 3 feet from the goal. And what that means is you get up here, you need to be up here. You get to here, and then you hit this roadblock. It's like being slammed by a wall. And now you're like, you know what? Maybe there's a reason why I'm not accomplishing that goal. No, you just now made a choice to fail. Being persistent in the simplest form is making the choice to succeed no matter what. Pushing yourself to the limits, learning from your mistakes, and continuing to move forward no matter what may come your way. And I can tell you right now, when your health is as bad as mine was, when you hear things like I heard, we're going to we want to amputate your legs. I like my legs. I want to keep them where they're at. Thank you very much. When you hear you're going to be on 9 liters of oxygen, well, what does that mean? Oh, I'm going to have a hose attached to me for the rest of my life? I like to be able to go do what I want to do. I want to go fishing. I want to go do things with my beautiful wife. I don't want to be restricted by a hose. I want to be active. And the only way that's going to happen is for me to fix this. So I had to be persistent with it. And I'm going to continue to be persistent with it no matter what roadblocks I run into. My eye is on the goal. That's where I'm headed. That goal out there. And if it says change course this direction to hit this goal here, I'm going to do it. And sometimes it's hard to say, I'm going to do that. And that's really all persistence is saying, that's where I want to go, and I'm going to do that. This roadblock comes up, okay, I'm going to remove that obstacle, and I'm still going to go forward. Because that obstacle means nothing to me. Because that's where I'm going to be. In a nutshell, persistence is telling yourself here, so that your habits are changed by your subconscious, that this is where I'm at, this is where I'm going, and it will take you that direction. You have to believe this is where you're headed. You have to see yourself there, and you have to be grateful that you're there even though you're not. Because you need to attach an emotion to it so that you can stay persistent and stay the course. And that's really what persistence is. I really appreciate you guys spending your time with us. If you wish to learn more, you're welcome to visit our website at sj-mentoring.com. Again, it's there on your screen. That's sj-mentoring.com. Please fill out the contact request form. This way we can set up our free consultation. We give you a free consultation. We try to find out what you are wanting so that we can decide whether or not we can help you. Because if you can show us what you want, we can show you how to get it. And like, share, subscribe. It really helps. And remember, next week, we're going to have another live show. And next week, we're going to be discussing step 9. Form a mastermind. You can't think of everything. And remember, S&J Mentoring, we show you how to accomplish your dreams. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Did you know your clothing could help balance your body's pH levels? Our cutting-edge fabric technology naturally promotes optimal pH balance, helping you feel energized, refreshed, and at your best every day. Use promo code PRTalk for more info. Tap the link in the description or contact our experts at 702-445-9488 to learn more.
PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.